What's going down, everybody? It's your boy Big Drewski, and welcome to another edition of Space Bucket Growing with Drewski.
Welcome to the podcast.
So what's going down, everybody? Tonight's episode is LED lights, light fan leak, space blocks, and those were custom made, and how we're going to build bucket 2.5, the revamp, and how we're going to build bucket 3. So today we got that mail call. Y'all seen it on Instagram. We are working with one of these really cool Galaxy Hydro Roladero 135 watt LED lights. This thing's 12 inches in diameter, which means it fills up the whole bucket once you put it out in the measure. Coming with that is a hanging kit and, of course, your power adapter to plug everything in, make sure everything works, and get your lighting on. We also got a custom-made lid that goes with that. And as I look at this with the hanging kit and the lid, I'm kind of freaking out. I'm going to be totally honest with y'all, because this is a build project that we have to do. I'm excited about the build. I'm just trying to figure out how to get the grow going, or the build going, with the lid that we have in place. So I'm looking at the hanging kit. I'm looking at everything that comes with it. I'm going to have to figure out something. I'm thinking zip ties to keep it up on the lid as tight as possible, because we're not trying to do a whole bunch with the with lighting and space, especially with the LED lights, with the recommended height that you need for the light, because it will burn your plants up, from what I understand. So what I'm going to do is I am going to secure this UFO light to the lid via zip ties instead of using the hanging kit that comes with it. The reason why I'm going to do that, I just feel it's going to be more secure. It gives me a little bit more security in the build that I'm going to do. And I think that that's going to work out pretty well just for security reasons. So I'm going to play with this a little bit. I'm going to try out to find a design that works with the lid that we have, the holes that are drilled, the hanging kit. I know it's there for a reason, and I know it was built like that for a reason, but I'm thinking different. So I'm thinking I'm going to zip tie secure the UFO to the lid, so that way it's just all one piece, and I don't really have to worry about height adjustment until I have to add another spacer. That being said, on this white bucket that I have, the Kiko Man traditional soy sauce bucket, provided to us by one of our good friends and sponsors, because they provided those buckets, Lotus Eater Organics. Check them out on Instagram. Please follow them. Make sure you hook up with our main big boys, Mostly Safe, Rain Man, Space Bucket Micro Grows. You know how it goes, man. Check them out on Etsy. Get a space bucket from them if you haven't built your own, or if you don't even plan on building your own, or if you think it's too complicated. Go ahead and get one of theirs. Trust me. Get one of theirs. Like, mine is nowhere near where theirs is. That's some whole new, professionally built. A lot of R&D has gone into that, and with me building space buckets, I'm doing my own R&D projects as well. Just to see what's going on. And speaking of research and development, we're part of the R&D team with Spacebucket Micro Grows because we have these fan adapters that are freaking huge. They're bigger than the fans that I have. And speaking of that, I'm thinking I'm going to send them one of the fans that I have because I've got 6 of them to spare. And I'm going to see if they would make light leak adapters for that size fan. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people are going to build space buckets with different materials. That being said, a lot of us who are in the tech world like I was and love to part out computers and everything like that, some of those fans don't come in the size that I've got for these adapters. I'm going to make it work, though, because I've got an idea to make the fan clip onto that light leak adapter on the outside of that, and it'll just be a whole like little tunnel of air that goes in, and no light is going to either leak in or additionally, a lot of it might not leak out as much. You're going to see light, of course, but it's not going to leak in and cause hermaphrodites or any other grow problems like that, especially if you're not in a secured room or your space bucket's not like in a closet or just in its own dedicated space to where light won't get to it. That being said, I was reading some things about lighting that I thought should be shared on this when building your space bucket. I know a lot of us have gotten the idea to either get black buckets or to either spray paint the outside of your bucket black or some dark color, cover it in tape, or use some duct tape or something like that. Reading that when you line your buckets with your foil tape or your reflective material, if it's lined right, you won't have to worry about light leak because the tape's going to block the inside of your bucket. I didn't even think about that, and that makes total sense. So I'm going to leave the outside of these buckets alone except for cutting holes in them. You know how that's going to go. We're about to get the chopping here in a little bit. But, yeah, the foil tape lined on the inside is actually what's going to prevent light leakage on the outside of the bucket. And you won't have a pink glowing bucket in the room that you're growing in. Actually makes total sense. If you're not checking us out on Facebook too, we do got a group that's dedicated to space bucket building and grows, and we want to hear all the banter. We want to hear your input and everything like that. So, look me up, Andrew Hatcher Jr. You can look me up, add me as a friend on Facebook, and then I'll invite you to the group. Also, look them up. Just look up Space Buckets on Facebook, and you can get in there, request to join the group, and, we'll get you in there so you can join in on the fun. You know what I mean? But we want some dedicated bucketeers, you know what I'm saying? We want y'all that are really growing in space buckets. Well, I do, because I want to get all the knowledge I can. I also want to expand on the knowledge that I'm getting by hearing what everybody else has to say about their builds and what they did. I've seen a whole lot on spacebuckets.com. I've seen some links come from Grow Weed Easy. And that's going to be something that I hope this flourishes to the point of where we've got hundreds and hundreds of members in there and people sharing their experiences and people sharing their grows and what's going on with that. So, just come join in on the fun. But we're going to get back to my build here. In front of me, I'm looking at a lid, a 12-inch diameter, 135-watt UFO, 6 buckets, 6 fans, a roll of foil tape, a smart pot, and I'm excited. I'm real excited, you guys. This is going to be something that's going to be real fun to get into. You've seen some of the layout that's going to go on with that bucket, fan placement, things of that nature. And I've already dedicated one spacer to the UFO itself just because of how big it is in diameter and in total height as well. It's going to take up a spacer notch itself. So I'm looking at a few things and a few different ways to build this bucket. Things are looking pretty good for right now. I like this. I like what's going to go happen. I like the design that I've got laid out. I'm going to do some drawing here and some design planning, and I'm going to see how that goes. And in building this bucket, I think I'm also going to learn a whole lot. I know there's some controversy about lights when it comes to, high-powered bulbs, CFLs, LED growing, and things of that nature. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen because right now, as y'all know, we do have a CFL grow going on right now, and we're going to get that to full fruition. Before we do anything else, we're going to go to full yield because I want to see how much CFL lights yield versus LED lights. And the difference in the LED bucket is going to be a whole lot of lighting. Remember, we do have 6 feet of 50/50 LEDs coming in very soon. From what I understand, they've left California as of yesterday or the day before. Depends on when you're listening to this. Hoping you're listening to this when it drops. So they should be at the house fairly soon. And that is going to really determine what the spacers look like when we get to this build. Because I also have to line the spacer with those. We also have to get into what lights we're going to use and when. Heating issues, because the LED light strips, remember, those are just pure lights. So we really have to take into account cooling, and that's going to require more fans. And so the spacer build is going to be a little bit different than a lot of people are thinking, because I'm going to put a fan in the spacer wrapping the LEDs around it. So hopefully the space permits, or we're just going to have to build another spacer with 2 fans on it plus the LED. So that's going to be like a 3 spacer build plus the UFO spacer lid combo. Man, that's a lot. But at the same time, filling it in with the 3-gallon smart pot in the initial bucket, we're going to have some room for fans on that end. We're going to have room for fans on the spacer. The UFO has a fan built in because of how hot it can potentially get inside. There's a lot of air vents on there as well, but it's going to be blocked off by the space of the bucket. So there's just going to be a few things that layout-wise we're going to have to think outside the box. And I like that. I like how that's going to go because it gives me a chance to think differently than just looking at a design on spacebuckets.com or looking at a design on Instagram from somebody else's build, looking at a design on Reddit from somebody else's build. It gives me a chance to be really individual in how I do this. And so I'm looking forward to putting that idea into fruition and seeing what's going to happen with that. That being said, waiting for these 50/50 LEDs is the main concern of this whole build right now. With everything laid out in front of me, that's the one thing missing. You know, It's not a problem when you get stuff shipped from Hong Kong. You got to give things some time, folks. You know what I'm saying? Air, customs, that whole shebang. You know how it's going to go. But once it gets here, because it is on the way, then we get to really play with layout. I like it. Gives me a chance to be really individual and creative in this build, but still stick to the basics. This also gives me a chance to build another bucket, which I'm really excited about doing, perfecting the craft and seeing the results of what LED lights do versus CFL lighting. Because LED lighting is supposed to be so different and it's supposed to help your plant grow and flourish and absorb nutrients in a different way than the CFL lighting and using nutrients will. There's just some things that we really get to play with, and I like that. Speaking of nutrients, thank you to our sponsor, Nectar of the Gods. $25 worth of freight coming. That's going to be super, super awesome because we've got 8 quarts of nutrients and pH balance coming. And that's another one that I'm waiting on because I've never used anything that had to do with adding or a liquid additive to it unless you're talking about bodybuilding and adding protein to your own body. But I imagine for a plant, this would kind of be the same thing. Doing it on a regimen, making sure you're not doing too much or too little. Doing it in a timely fashion to where that the feeding regimen is correct. And from what I do understand in the packaging, there is a regimen that goes with the Nectar of the Gods grow system. So from seed, we're going all in, folks. Grow number 2 is going to be all nutrients, all LED, no CFLs at all. We're going straight from seed into soil after germination, of course. And the CFL light grow should be something pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? From what I've seen from my sponsor, he's been able to do some hefty yields off of just one plant using LED lights. And that's something that I am looking forward to doing just to see the excitement of how it goes. Also in this grow, I'm going to implement a heavy stress training regimen on it so I can get this bucket to grow the way I want to. Well, the plant to grow the way I want to inside the bucket. Utilizing all the space that I can, utilizing training, pruning, aka defoliation. We're going to go all in on this one. Since with the CFL grow, I started defoliation a little late. I waited until you couldn't see the bottom of the bucket or the top of where the soil is, because there were so many leaves infiltrating the system. I cut a lot of it off. I left the tops. I left a couple of leaves alone. I left a lot of the new growth alone, and I got rid of almost everything that was old, including 2 very thin, smaller branches that weren't really developing the way the other ones were. So in this one, after germination and then from seed, once we get it into the bucket here, it's already going to start have a training regimen started. Hold on real quick. Sorry about that, you guys. I know it was only a quick second. I love this pause button feature. My pup is a little tired, so I had to go put him to bed. He's all peaceful looking in front of me. It's cute. But back to the bucket. Low stress training is going to be and very important factor in this grow. And the reason why I say it's going to be an important factor in this grow is because I've learned with the CFL grow, stress training and topping really does do something for your plant. I don't know what yet because I still haven't switched this one over to flower. I'm waiting for another couple of days of growth, and then I'm going to pop that bad boy over to 12-12, and hopefully we get another foot of growth with the sprout. Remember, we topped it, so 2 more colas popped out instead of just one main stalk and a gang of leaves. So we've got 2 colas that are newly growing. I'm just giving them some more time to strengthen up. I'm going to wait until the nutrients get in. I'm going to start a nutrient regimen on that plant. Even though it's at the late veg stage right before flower, we're going to continue nutrients through flower. And we're just going to see what happens. Hopefully I don't have a male. I'm praying into female because you know the statistics on bag seed grows. You never know what's feminized. You never know what's a man. And you've got to be very careful about your light schedule and light leakage because you don't want Hermes. Shoot, I'm cool. Even if I do have a Hermes, I might let it grow just to see what it is and see how it grows and see how it might change itself out and do what it does. And I don't have any other plants around it to either pollinate or destroy or anything like that. So, you never know what's going to happen. We might even, if it comes out to be a male, I might just transfer everything into a smart pot and give this one its own individual space to grow, because then having a male plant, I can mess around with genetics and cross-pollinate and see what's going to happen. And, not knowing what's going to happen has been the whole basis of this grow. But at the same time, it's a very, very interesting learning experience. And for me, having a male plant and seeing how a male plant grows versus a female plant, for me, experience-wise, might be it. But from what I've been reading via Grow Weed Easy, you're never going to know what you get. Not until you switch it over to flower. Your first sign of gender almost always appears at the V, where new growth tips from a stem grows. So you'll see little growths appearing at like the crotch of the plant, where a growth node meets the stem. And those would be your signs of pre-flower. So we're going to be really looking right into that area on the CFL grow once we switch it over to flower. And hopefully we don't see any like stamens, pollen sacs, what they call bananas. And those are what's going to actually like make seeds. So it just depends on what's going to happen on that end. But from what I'm looking at, male cannabis plants, they really don't like pop off with a lot of stem and leaf growth. This one that I have that it's growing, this thing's just growing into a bush. Just boom, 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 growing. Even today, after the defoliation that was done a couple of days ago, and then checking on it, it's already filled out itself again. It's just awesome how fast this plant grows. It's already like popped off and gotten wide. It didn't get tall, but it did get wide. And that's something that I've noticed after the topping too. With the topping, it created like a Y, and it went wide out, and then it, towards the light, it grew up. But it really wanted to go outwards. And then with the defoliation that was done, it seems like the stems kind of wanted to stay where they were and kind of wide out a little bit on itself and go further outwards, but it didn't come up towards the light. It's just when it seems like it filled itself in. So, I'm just waiting to see what happens. Hopefully we don't have any male plants, but if we do, we might be able to play around with it, keep it along, keep it growing, and mess around with some genetics here on our own time, Wifey wants to do her own outdoor grow. I'm cool with that because she wants to experiment along with me, and I'm so awesome that she wants to do that. I'm excited that she wants to do that. It is so awesome that she wants to do that. Sorry about my wording, y'all. You know me, when I get excited, I talk a little fast and a little crazy, and I just get excited in the moment. But she wants to do an outdoor grow. I am cool with stealth indoor building. I like to tinker with things, so I love building stuff, and I like being hands-on. So, I'm super excited to see how that's going to go. Once again, with her grow, she's going to be doing a bag seat grow. Like all my other grows are going to be, dealing with, folks that I deal with and the community that I deal with. A lot of folks don't know about the genetics of their plant. They know, what other people tell them the strain of the plant is and things of that nature. And knowing the chances of what you're going to get when it comes to a bag seat grow, you really don't know if you're going to get a male or a female. So we're just praying. We're hoping for the best of luck. A lot of people get feminized plants. They get rid of all their males. And so I think there's a lot of feminized seeds floating around that people don't know about and don't know they have. And, we could get lucky. We could have as many grows as we're planning on doing perpetually with the addition of our September bucket that's coming, the Jabberwocky. And that thing is, oh my gosh, that thing looks oh so sexy, let me tell you guys. But we don't, we're planning on a 3-bucket system. The plan is CFL is for seedling early veg. 3.0 is early veg to right before flower flip. The Rain Man, that's what I'm going to call this 3rd bucket. So hopefully you guys like the name. Y'all call it the Jabberwocky. I'm calling it the Rain Man in ode to you guys. The Rain Man is going to be the flower. And so once we have a bucket in flower, the plan is to always have a seedling to veg, a seedling bucket, a veg bucket, a flower bucket. Seedling, veg, flower. Me, I don't think I'll ever have too much cannabis on my hands. Why? I've got a partner who, we medicate together. It's awesome. I can also use the cannabis that I do have in other ways than just smoking it, making oils, cooking with it. There's just too much, you know what I'm saying? I can start making cannagars, saving the fan leaves that we do have after we flip the flower and we get that maturity and that resin, trichome production, all the stuff that's going to come along with this. And, our investments can really pay for themselves. Most folks, when you start buying cannabis, you realize you go through a good few ounces, a lot, especially if you medicate on a regular basis. And this gives us the opportunity to always have our own cannabis growing. Another thing with this bucket 3.0 that we're going to be currently building is we also get an opportunity to test out a light that already has, I believe, 15 months logged in on it already. And with that grow, because I'm planning on doing a full grow in that one as well, to, see the difference in yields in cannabis. Because, let's just say I get an ounce and a half, 2 ounces. However this thing grows, and however many ounces, or even not even ounces, just buds we get off of this plant, at the end of the day, once we do that, we're going to measure a full LED light yield via weight, and we're going to see what we get. But if we can get up to 2 ounces, once we flip over to LED growing on a consistent basis, I don't see a problem with growing 2 ounces per plant. Like, if you do it right, I mean, it's 2, 4, 6 ounces, every so often in harvest. I'm not, the crazy big smoker like that. And plus, I haven't really dabbled into using a whole lot of cannabis to like make a dab, making wax, shatter, extractions, things of that nature. So I'm cool with smoking cannabis. So me having jars and jars and jars of cannabis sitting around my house curing with Integ Boost packs, keeping sure everything's fresh, eventually it's going to get smoked. Eventually it's going to get ate. That's just what it is, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really excited about that, because having these 3 buckets, having yields up to 2+ ounces every harvest, and then, if we get lucky on a re-veg, I might keep it going and see what happens on the indoor basis on a re-veg, just if you get lucky, you know what I mean, after the flush and things of that nature. Things are looking on the up. Cannabis users, you spend a lot of money on cannabis. I see a lot of people who buy a lot of cannabis, and you're spending over $400 a month. These investments provided by my sponsor, with the help of my own build, that's a lot of money saved, you know what I'm saying? And especially compared to your electricity bill, I see why there are more home growers than not. And me not being a part of the medical cannabis community with the cart and all that good stuff, and just me doing my own grows with my own experiments. And that's just because of the law set up in Nevada. Not because I don't want to become a medical card holder. It's just some of these laws and the loopholes that are in these things are so ridiculous. It was kind of a better opt for me to grow my own and have my own supply, and then really into looking into different strains and seeing what kind of cannabis I like growing, because I like having 2 different kinds or 2 different strains. I like an indica, I like sativas, and I like using them for different purposes. Some are daytime, some right to get me knocked out and go right to bed. And that being said, doing these buckets gives you the opportunity to do that. You know what I'm saying? I could go with the 3 bucket system and do 3 sativas. And then once I'm in harvest on my last kind of grow on that end, I can already have my indica starting to grow. And that way I can have both the specific strains that I want to medicate with and use on my own. I'm cool with that. And this space bucket technology and the inspiration to do that, really gives you the chance to really think about what you're doing with cannabis, what cannabis strains you specifically need to medicate with, and then you can really control how much cannabis you actually have. I'm reading on Grow Weed Easy, and they say that a lot of people who grow their own end up with too much. How in the hell can you end up with too much cannabis? Like, use it for cooking, infuse your foods with it, make topicals, make cannagars, like, use the whole plant. I mean, really become indigenous and, native folks would, and use the whole plant, use the stalk, use the leaves, use the flowers for different things, and get into really, medicating the way you're supposed to with cannabis. I think we need to go back to the days of old when it comes to cannabis and really, really think about what it was used for. It was used as an ancient medicine. It was used as a healing component in the world. And that's what I want to really get back into. I know cannabis is not the end all and be all of all things homeopathic, but this is one powerful source that you have on your hands that you can grow at any time, in the privacy of your own home, in the privacy of a room that was lent to you, in a space that, nobody else really has to know about. So I think that's really dope in the fact that you can use a plant to heal yourself. You can grow it on your own. You have the knowledge, the education, and gain the experience from growing this. And then you can really, really learn and educate others on cannabis use. Instead of being one of those that goes to a dispensary, and I'm not knocking dispensaries in any way, but, you've got somebody who has to learn about strains. And remember, there's thousands of different strains. If you go to Leafly and look up a term like citrus smelling cannabis, or a citrus flavor profile on your cannabis, did you know that if you look up a citrus sativa strain, including hybrids, you've got a 1 in 273 chance listed, known, 1 out of 273 chances you're going to get the strain that you want. That's a lot of cannabis, and that's just one characteristic: citrus, lemony. 273 different strains that you can choose from, with different properties that'll medicate you in different ways. And so doing your research, finding out what you need, and then getting into different grows. If you not into, a full phenotype, you can go into auto strain, and where it's going to flower regardless of the time period that you have. It's going to flower within a certain time period. And so you can really control your yield. You can control how much you have. You can still train it and everything like that. I don't know the specifics on training auto strain, so I'm not going to tell you that topping and low stress training will or won't help. But eventually, one of these days, within this year, I will be able to document for you guys an auto strain grow, using CFLs and LEDs to grow it differently, and maybe that will make a difference in how auto strains grow using different lighting, and with the addition of nutrients and things of that nature. So I encourage a lot of you guys that are cannabis users, who head over to, your local dispensary or your caregiver, and you get your strains and you medicate with cannabis. I really encourage you to look into growing your own cannabis. And using a space bucket is definitely one of the ways that I will encourage it. Why? I do it myself. It doesn't take a lot to do. The space management, as Stacks mentioned on our What Are We Doing podcast, the space management on that is awesome. With 3 space bucket builds growing, I haven't even taken a dent in a room. I think that's awesome. Think about it. 3 grows in the corner of my room. That's freaking awesome. I didn't have to go all crazy and empty out a room and, get specialized lighting and venting and blah, blah, blah. I just had to, put 3 buckets in a corner next to, an outlet, because let's face it, you kind of need some outlets to power up your fans and your lights. And that's pretty much what you need. You need somewhere that's close to a plug. And don't kill yourselves by watering your plants with everything plugged in. You know what I'm saying? Be smart about it. Unplug your stuff. Make sure that the non-waterproof items are away from your water leaks or anywhere that you're going to be pouring and water could potentially splash. Don't blow yourselves up, folks. I don't want to see you guys put out these investments on lights and fans and things of that nature only to blow yourself up, or even worse, break your lights. That'll just suck. Because those investments, they're costly, but they're worth it. And I don't want to see you guys mess that up, by a simple mistake, water. Also, I don't want to see you guys fry your own house and blow circuit breakers and things of that nature. So just be careful when you guys are growing. But remember that space management is one of the coolest things about this too, because it's right in the corner. It might get a little tall, but it won't get wider. Height is no problem for me. You know what I'm saying? If you got walls and ceilings, you got all the height in the world. But that's it for me, you guys. This grow is getting really exciting with the CFLs. Now that I got this UFO sitting right in front of me with this light lid and these buckets and these fans and this foil tape, I can't wait to get to work. So we're going to get that going. Hopefully tomorrow I get this build started by cutting spacers, lining foil tape, securing the UFO to the light lid that was supplied by our sponsor. And we're just going to go from there. So thanks once again for tuning in, you guys. Make sure you check out our sponsor, Rain Man Space Bucket Micro Grows. Check them out on Etsy, because you can see what the inspiration for my build comes from. If you're not building your own space bucket, get one from them right now. Also, check out Lotus Eater Organics on Instagram. Connect with them because they make really, really good edible treats for you guys to medicate with and get yourselves right and then go throughout your day. Also, check us out. What Are We Doing _podcast on Instagram. You can follow both of us, Stacks510 on Instagram, and make sure you follow our main page at Elevated Lifestyle LV. Once again, this is your boy Big Drewski. Welcome to another edition of Space Bucket Growing with Drewski, and y'all have a great night.